Hey guys, welcome back to 428 Shibuya Scramble. This is TJ your Gamer Girl, signing on. So, last episode we finished up Minorikawa, Kano, and Achi's current time block. And Maria is unconscious and is probably about to go symptomatic in a couple more hours, or at least one more hour. And Alphard contacted us, saying he wanted Hitomi's blood, and in exchange he'd give Tanaka's password, which I don't trust in the least. But also, apparently, Alphard will be gracing us with his presence at the meeting place. So that should be interesting. Tanaka hadn't given Ai his password. Also, his last chance had gone up in smoke. He let out a long, shaky breath and shut his eyes tight. Was it true? Was there nothing more he could do? Also, a cell phone rang. When he saw the name on the incoming call display, he nearly shouted out loud. It was Hitomi. Hitomi! Are you alright? Please tell me you're alright. Yeah, I'm fine. But Maria's... Maria? Is Maria there with you? Also, his heart leaped. Dad, there isn't any time for me to explain everything, so I'll just have to give you the main points. This is so we can save my sister, so just stay calm and listen. Also, a struggle to hold back the 1,000 questions that immediately came boiling into his mind. There's a girl named Kanan who's going to bring Maria to the lab. She's going to try to hack the password in order to get us inside. Wait, hold on. Just what in the world is going on? There are a bunch of people here working to save Maria. Can you wait for us at the lab, Dad? I'm not sure that electronic lock is something that would be so easy to... We've got another plan in motion too. And if that goes well, we might be able to learn the password. It was all too much to follow, but also I realized he'd have to take Hitomi at her word. It was the only hope of saving Maria. Alright, he said. I'll do as you ask, but... You said you're trying 2 approaches. You're not going to be in danger, are you? No, I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. Okay. Very well. I'm heading to the laboratory now. You can't! You can't go. The moment Osawa hung up and started for the house, I clung to him from behind. Also, now you love him. Either that, or you're still desperate to try... you're still putting your father's dumb business above everything else. Above the lives, the potential hundreds of thousands of lives that could be lost. If you use the antiviral now, she said, everything will go public. This woman, I hate her. I hate her. She is absolutely freaking heartless. Who cares? It'll certainly go worldwide if suddenly everyone in Tokyo just drops dead. Oh my god. There's no way we can get the virus or the antiviral under wraps at this point. Also, I tried to pull free, but his wife was stronger than expected. Besides, if Maria infects other people, the whole world is going to find out in a matter of hours. No, we could just quarantine her. If it's handled correctly, we'll still be able to retain secrecy. Ai's voice was cold as ice. Do you even have any idea what you're saying right now? I do. I know how it sounds, but this is the only thing I can... Her voice trailed off. She could feel the force of her trembling where she held him. Have I really put you in that much of a corner? Also, slipped from Ai's arms and prostrated himself on the ground. No, dude, you do not bow to her. She should be the one bowing to you. It's her fault this has gone on this long. She takes a damn good share of the responsibility for this. I'm sorry. I'm truly, truly sorry. Oh, stop this! Get up! If you're really sorry, then don't go to that lab! But Osawa remained silent, his forehead pressed to the dirt. If you use that antiviral without corporate approval, your time with Okushi is finished. That doesn't matter to me anymore. How can you say that? Virology is the only thing you've ever cared about. I began pummeling his back. Maybe virology is all that I care about. I don't know the first thing about anything else. I never wanted to know. Never even thought to find out. Never bothered to learn what you or my own children might think. I'm a failure. As a father and as a husband. How dare you say that only after it's come to this? I struck him again, harder than before. You're right. He gasped out the words between our blows. Maybe this has been too long coming. But it's not too late. I can still start over. Start over? She paused in disbelief. You already turned down that American job. If you use an antiviral now, there won't be any starting over. You'll lose everything. Will I lose you too? After you've gone and thrown everything else away like this? How could I possibly stay with you? I was sobbing softly now. Also, I wondered what her tears were for. But there was only one thing he did know. She was right. They couldn't possibly be together anymore. He got to his feet and headed back into the house, leaving I behind. He hurried through the back entrance and went into the garage. Climbed into his car, fastened his seatbelt, and took a deep breath. The image of a younger Maria rose in the back of his mind. There she was at the park, getting drenched by the rain, holding back her tears as she waited for her father. Wait for me, Maria. This time, I'm going to come for you. I was wrong. Going to the lab would mean losing everything. He let too many important things slip through his fingers. Now it was time to go take them back. Osawa pulled his car onto the street and sped toward the laboratory. As if to signal that the long day was drawing to a close, the dazzling sun sank down between the buildings in the distance. Also, the story is technically ended. So that means it'll be continuing with whoever goes with Kanan. Oh my god, do I have to go through all that again? Hang on a second. Jeez, this is lasting 2 hours? Yeah, this one is 2 hours. Oh, Achi is at a full keep out. I can't even start his block. Alright, let's start Kano. Kano's cell phone rang. He saw Kuze's name on the display. Kano speaking. What the hell are you doing? The director's voice was shrill with irritation. What's the situation with Maria Osawa? I have her in custody, sir. We need to get her into quarantine immediately. I'll send the counter NBC terrorism unit to pick her up. What's your location? Sir, the situation's a little complicated at the moment, Kano replied. He and Stanley made eye contact. Kano gave him a knowing nod. He knew what he needed to do here. He briefly informed Kuze of the plan to take Maria to the laboratory, but was careful not to mention Alphard. Please, sir, Kano said, bowing reflexively to the phone. Let me handle this. Absolutely not, Kuze exclaimed. There's no way I can allow that. Maria Osawa needs to go in quarantine right now. Sir, please, just give us a little more time. Giving her the antiviral is the only way we can save her. If we put her in quarantine, it'll be a death sentence. Kuze allowed a growl of frustration. Kano, that isn't your decision to make. Kano had run out of arguments. It was clear that Kuze's only concern was stopping the spread of the virus. Director Kuze, are you just going to let Maria Osawa die? We can't put the lives of everyone in Shibuya at risk in order to save a single person. I know that, sir. That's why I'm asking you to please let me go to that laboratory. And if it looks like we're not going to be able to hack the password, then at that point, a quarantine can... Kano! Kuze snapped. I'm giving you an order, and I'm not accepting that order. Listen, Kuze said. How many years have you been a cop? What do you mean by that, sir? Kuze didn't reply. Is this an order from up top? What's going on here, sir? Please, I need some kind of explanation. Stop it, Kuze said. You sound like a child. This is dereliction of duty. Call me a child if you want, but I'm not following an order that I know isn't right. Kano punched the end call button with his thumb. From an objective standpoint, maybe Kuze was right. They needed to think about more than just Maria. If the Ua virus spread through Shibuya, it would be a nightmare of epic proportions. Kano understood that perfectly clearly. But still. He looked down at Maria's face as she lay collapsed on the floor. This girl was still alive, and Kano couldn't stand idly by and let a living, breathing person die. Consequences be damned, he wasn't going to be the one to weigh the worth of someone's life. As he stood, still clutching his cell phone, Stanley gently set a hand on his shoulder. You did fine, he said quietly. Alphard is in the possession of the Ua virus. The people of Shibuya are already in danger. He may have already released the virus in the city. If he hasn't, he may do so at any time. Right now, what we need to do is get that antiviral and arrest Alphard. You made the right choice here. Thanks, Stanley. I appreciate hearing that. Stanley gave Kano a slap on the back. He was right. At this point, they needed to focus on the things that they could still accomplish. So, guys, Hachi stepped forward. Who's going to take Hitomi's sister and Kanan to the lab? Maria was in no condition to walk, so they were going to have to take a car, which meant they needed a driver. I only have a motorcycle license, Hachi said, and I don't know where the lab is anyhow. I should go with Maria alone. Kanan looked over at the others. There's no way of knowing for sure when she might become contagious. We shouldn't needlessly risk exposing more people to infection. She knelt down to gather Maria in her arms. In that case, I should drive. Kano whirled around at the sound of a new voice behind him. Tatano! Tatano was standing in the doorway. You! Ashi's face went red with rage. Oh, okay, I have to jump! Alright. I get it. How many times are we gonna have to jump through these 2 hours? Achi snarled. In the doorway stood a man with a cane. Detective Tatano. Tatano. Kano and Daisuke spoke simultaneously. Now at last, Achi had a name for the assassin. It was a name he'd felt he heard somewhere before. You son of a bitch! Achi roared. What the hell are you doing here? Tatano bowed his head profusely. I am truly sorry. You're sorry? Sorry don't cut it, man. Not after what you were trying to do to Hitomi. I don't expect you to forgive me, and I intend to turn myself in to be punished for my crimes. But before I do that, please, let me do what I can to help you. I think you've helped enough. Achi grabbed Tatano by the collar and drew back his fist. Kano moved to stop him, but Tatano held up a hand. No, it's all right. Let him do as he pleases. There was no trace of the menacing expression the man had worn in their previous encounters. Achi scowled but lowered his fist, then released hold of on Tatano's collar. Fine. Hitomi's sister needs help, so we do need a driver right now. Make sure those two get to the lab and back safely. That'll make up for that punch I didn't give you just now. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Daisuke stepped forward. No, I'm the one who should be apologizing. I'm the one who got you caught up in all this. Daisuke, we really didn't grow up to be very good people, did we? No, guess not. The two men stared bleakly at each other, shoulders slumped. In the end, Tatano said, I guess we were just trying to run away from our pain. Yeah, didn't expect my own son to be the one to teach me that. Achi's turned out to be a fine young man. He is Kotane's boy, after all. Guys! Achi stepped into the middle of their solemn heart-to-heart. You can get all sappy all you want later. Dad, once this is all over, we're going to see Suzune, okay? Sure, Daisuke nodded heartily. Hold on, Kano spoke up, turning to Stanley. If these two take Maria to the lab, that leaves just two to apprehend Alphard down at the Scramble. Is that going to be enough? I mean, Alphard's not going to show up without a plan. The more people we have on our side, the better. And I doubt we'll be able to get any help from the police. Good point, Stanley agreed. Hey! Achi said. I'm here too, and I'm going with you. I'll keep Hitomi safe. Oh look, good news, Kano. Now we have 3 people. Stanley let out a sardonic laugh. Kano frowned. Achi, I appreciate the offer, but having 3 people instead of 2 won't make much of a difference. When you're not sure of the enemy's exact plan, you really need strength in numbers. If we could set up a dragnet like the task force did this morning, that'd be ideal, but... Come on, detective, Achi said. Don't you have any idea what sort of approach the cycle might take? If I were Alphard, Kano mused, then I suppose my biggest problem would be figuring out how to get away after I'd taken Hitomi's blood. Stanley nodded in agreement. I'm betting he plans to involve the UA virus, he said. If, for instance, he tells us he set up a device somewhere to spread the virus throughout Shibuya that prevents us from taking action against him. Achi swallowed hard. This guy wanted to unleash a killer virus in Shibuya? If he succeeded, then the town Achi had known and loved all his life would become a graveyard. Of course, it's mere conjecture, Stanley murmured. Quite frankly, even I can only guess at what he's going to do. His expression was grim. Strength in numbers, huh? Achi said. So you're saying we absolutely need more people? Is that it? Essentially, yes, Stanley replied. But not just anyone, mind. If it's not a group that meshes well, it'll hinder more than help. Kano folded his arms across his chest. He looked perplexed. People who mesh well together, huh? Achi had an idea. SOS. This is gonna be interesting. He could ask SOS. If there was anything he could do, it was that. It was a selfish request, he knew that. Susumu would probably be furious with him, but Achi would just have to deal with that. Even if his old pals wouldn't forgive him, if they understood that they'd be helping protect Shibuya, then he was sure they'd step up and take action. After all, the whole point of the game was that it was made up from people who loved their town. Can you give me a half hour? I'm gonna try and see if I can rustle up some people. Kano straightened himself up. You think you can do it? Achi nodded assertively. Just wait here for me, okay? Said Hitomi. She gave him a worried smile. Alright, I'll be waiting. I'll be okay. It'll be okay. Achi did his best to sound reassuring. I promise, I'll bring back some help. He knew where he needed to go. The pool hall in Uraharajuku. That was his old gang's main hideout. Running at top speed, he could probably make it in about 10 minutes. Alright! Rushing out the door with a battle cry loud enough for Kano and the others to hear from the back inside the shop, Achi sped on his way. And there's the jump back to Kano. Traffic on Dogenzaka was at a near standstill. Had there been some sort of major accident? As Achi ran along the roadside, he heard a middle-aged man screaming angrily. You've got to be kidding me! What do you mean no trains are stopping at Shibuya? The guy was red in the face. What the heck is going on? Calm down, old man. Yeah, we are in... Calm down, old man. Achi ignored him and kept running. We are in a rush here. Finally, he arrived at SOS's hideout. Two young men were standing by the door as lookouts. Achi recognized one of them. It was the kid whose so-called buddies had tried to shake him down earlier that afternoon. They roused themselves as Achi approached. Hey, I need to see Susumu. No can do. He's in the middle of something right now. The lookouts made no move to let him through. Achi felt a surge of resentment towards Susumu. If he'd still been with SOS, he'd never try to post members on guard duty like they were low-ranking Yakuza thugs. We'll have to do this the hard way. Fine, but I guess I'll have to do this the hard way. Achi forcibly shoved the two of them aside. But the two recovered quickly. Before he could get in the door, they grabbed hold of him and pushed him away. Look, I don't have time to screw around. Just go and tell Susumu that Achi's here. At the mention of his name, the two lookouts exchanged worried glances. Alright, I'll go ask him. One of the lookouts headed inside, leaving Achi with the kid he'd helped out earlier. Do they always stick you on guard duty? The boy didn't reply. Back when I ran with SOS, we never needed anyone on lookout. We were just a bunch of guys who loved Shibuya, and who had a fun time hanging out with each other. That's all it was, really. It's not Susumu's fault that SOS changed, the boy said, somewhat fearfully. Lately, it's Kiryu who's been driving things. Kiryu? Oh yeah, that guy. Achi recalled his earlier run-in with him. The guy was an arrogant bully. Kiryu was planning to steal Susumu's throne. What for? The boy took a nervous look at the door before hurriedly continuing. He's trying to expand SOS's influence, and he's got a lot of people on his side. Right now, the gang's kind of split into two factions, Susumu's guys and Kiryu's guys. Finally, Achi understood what was going on. The gang members had all been acting so weird because they were caught up in some kind of eternal struggle. Kiryu goes around recruiting new followers by force. And if he doesn't like you, he dishes out punishment. This month alone, he sent 8 people to the hospital. SOS is a total mess, man. This plan of mine might not work after all. Achi felt a sinking sense of despair. If SOS was ravaged with infighting, it was doubtful they'd heed the dangerous request he had for them. But even still, I want to be a part of this gang, the boy muttered. Achi peered at him in surprise. Why? They shake you down for dues, stick you on guard duty. That's not a decent way to treat someone. I look up to Susumu. He treats me like he would anyone else, even though I'm way down at the bottom. And it's not just me. Susumu always puts the members of the gang before himself. That's why I want to stick with SOS. Aha. So that's it, huh? Susumu really had been trying his best. And the members of SOS, some of them at least, admired him for it and stuck by him. Thanks. Achi said. The kid gave him a dubious look. Achi didn't know if Susumu would help him out or not, but he knew it was still worth putting their disagreements aside in order to ask. The door opened and the other lookout returned. Susumu says to come in. Achi nodded and strode inside. Alright, let's continue with Kano. Or... No, let's continue with Kano. Achi's protests were vehement, but he backed down at last. Tatano rode to escort Kanan and Maria to the lab. That left 3 to try and apprehend Alphard: Kano, Stanley, and Achi. Having only 3 people was a dicey prospect, though, so Achi took it upon himself to head out and gather some backup. Tatano got the car keys from Daisuke, then helped Kanan pick Maria up from the floor. Kano watched him warily. There was no trace of the blood-curdling expression the older detective had shown when he was holding Maria at gunpoint. His face was that of a man with responsibility, the Tatano that Kano had always known. "Are you sure you're okay doing this?" Hitomi asked Tatano. "You might get infected." "That doesn't matter. Don't worry about me. All I care about now is helping you two if I can." He hesitated, glancing down at the unconscious girl he held. "By the way, have Maria's memories come back?" Hitomi tilted her head. "Her memories?" "I suspect she took a blow to the head when she was abducted. When I ran into her earlier, she didn't even know her own name." "Well, she seemed like the same sister I've always known when she came in here." "Good. Then her memory must have recovered." Kano was shocked to hear that Maria had suffered amnesia, but it explained why she hadn't contacted anyone after she'd been set free. "Alright then," Tatano said. "We'll be back." Carrying Maria, he and Kanan headed for the door. "Detective Tatano." Kano called out, then paused, tongue-tied, when Tatano stopped. There were so many things Kano wanted to say, but he couldn't find the words for any of them. "Once Maria is safe, I'll turn myself in." Tatano kept his back turned. The words were like a dagger in Kano's heart. Once this was all over, Tatano would no longer be a detective, but a criminal. Kano knew there was no alternative, but still the realization hit him hard. "Detective Tatano, Stop your dithering. But never lose sight of what you're supposed to protect. Ever." Kano snapped back to attention at Tatano's words. That was Dick Dictum number 1, the advice that had kicked off the whole Dick diary. "I'm not the one you should be worrying about right now," Tatano continued. "We need to save Maria Osawa's life, and protect the people of Shibuya." Kano bit his lip. Yes, you're right." Kano did his best to quash his emotions. "Then we're good." Tatano gave a slight nod, and then headed out the door. "Detective Tatano!" Just before the older man disappeared, Kano called out to him one last time. "Be careful out there." Tatano flashed a hint of a smile, then left the workroom. There were only 30 minutes remaining until the time when Alphard had told them Hitomi should be at the scramble. They needed to get ready for action. "Is the surveillance camera still up?" Kano asked. "Yes," Daisuke replied. "It looks like what happened earlier was just a temporary hacking job." "Then will you help us?" Daisuke inclined his head. "What do you mean?" "I'd like you to keep an eye on the scramble for us. If anyone suspicious tries to get near Hitomi, let us know." "Anyone suspicious? How will I know what's suspicious?" Like the organ trafficker who suggested you to kidnap Hitomi, Mr. Endo. It's possible that he might be Alphard. Would you be able to recognize his face? Daisuke furrowed his brow deeply as he began entering commands on his keyboard. Yeah, don't think I could ever forget. It's because of him that He left the rest unsaid. A moment later, several of the monitors switched over to feeds from around the scramble. Alright. Daisuke squinted at the images. I'm not sure how much help I can be, but let me at least try to atone for what I've done. Of course. And thank you. Daisuke's fingers flew over the keyboard, and soon all the monitors were focused on the scramble and its surroundings. Then he carefully adjusted the angle and zoom for each of the cameras. Now the whole area was under total surveillance. Hush, phone! All they had to do was get their stakeout crew to the scene. Where did Achi go? Kano asked Hitomi. I'm not totally sure, but I think he went to find some of his old friends. Hitomi sounded worried. Friends? Achi used to belong to a gang called SOS. Actually, he told me he was the one who formed the gang in the first place. What? Kano couldn't keep the shock from his voice. Achi was the founder of SOS? How bizarre that the two of them would wind up mating each other this way. But I guess there was a big falling out between them, so I think he went to try and win them back over. Kano hadn't heard anything good about SOS after Achi had left them. If things had ended on bad terms between him and the gang, getting them to help might well be a lost cause. And even if Achi was able to gather some people up, how much would Kano and the others be able to trust them? It'll be alright, Hitomi said, as if sensing Kano's thoughts. I'm sure Achi will bring back some of his old friends. And when he does bring them, I'm sure he'll choose people we can count on. You really trust him, don't you? Yes, Hitomi said without hesitation. Then a blush came to her cheeks. You and Achi better kiss by the end of this, I swear to God. Alright, then I'll put trust in him too. It would take about 10 minutes to get from Endo Electronics to the scramble. Kano turned to Stanley. Let's plan to head out by 6:50. Stanley gave no reply. He had withdrawn to the edge of the room where he stood lost in thought, his expression uneasy. Kano decided to leave him alone for a bit. Taking a sheet of paper from one of the desks, he began drafting a plan for positioning Achi's reinforcements around the scramble. Alright, there we go. In about 5 minutes, he had drawn up a little map of the optimal places to deploy a team. It included positions for as many as 20 people Achi might bring back. Kano. Kano turned around, surprised to find Stanley right behind him all of a sudden. The American looked haggard. Is something the matter? Kano asked. You need to go to the scramble without me. What? Where's this coming from all of a sudden? Please don't ask me to explain. Something else has come up and I have to see to it. Sweat beaded on Stanley's brow. Whatever had happened, Kano had no doubt it was something major. And almost certainly it had something to do with Alphard. Stanley, Kano said. We are technically past the point of keeping secrets. Please tell me we're past the point of keeping secrets. They come this far together. Surely it was too late to get all tight-lipped now. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you more. Stanley dropped his eyes. Kano had a vague idea of what Stanley was up to. He probably felt he needed to keep things hidden even from his own allies in order to keep Alphard in the dark. Or at least that was Kano's guess. Alright, I understand, Kano said with resignation. Do what you have to, and come back soon. With an apologetic look on his face, Stanley turned and hurried from the workroom. Kano glanced at his watch. It was coming up on 6:50. Pretty soon they'd have to head for the scramble, but Achi still hadn't returned. We need to head out soon, he said to Hitomi. You said 6:50, she replied. There's still 2 more minutes to go. Kano let out a tiny sigh. He shared Hitomi's fervent hope that the reinforcements would come, but not her confidence. If Achi didn't reappear, Kano would be left to protect Hitomi all by himself, and to try to apprehend Alphard as well. Would he be able to pull it off if it came to that? He'd just have to trust himself to see things through on his own. He decided to head to the scramble with Hitomi right away. This wasn't about whether he could or couldn't. He would do it. He had to do it. There was no time for doubt anymore. Hitomi, I don't like having to do this, but we can't wait any longer. Seeing the look of utter determination on Kana's face, she gave a tiny reluctant nod. Yet another keep out, which means we'll need to start Minorikawa's block. That'll be in the next episode. Until then, this is the Gamer Girl signing off.